We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Blue Abroad Show. It's Monday, the 17th of June, 2024. We are ready. We've had a bye. We're ready for footy again on Friday night. I've got a bestie with me. Hello, Tori.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thanks for coming. It's a tough gig to get the besties on, mate. Things have happened. Things are happening.
Oh, you got us. That's all that matters. I took off work for it, but I'm here.
That's true. No, I appreciate it. Wow. That reminds me of, I don't know why it just came to my mind. Remember Microwave Gate?
Yeah. That's the
Was
work
that-
I took off too. I could have done it from work, to be fair.
Yeah. From the tea room?
But I thought I probably shouldn't.
Was that Appeal Night? Crips Appeal?
Yeah, no, that was Harry. Kate. Kait, whatever that one was. The one, yeah. Early.
Kick action interference technique.
Yeah, that one.
Wow, that was over a year ago, hey.
Yes, a while ago. Oh.
Yeah. How are you anyway? How was your bye?
Same as normal, I guess. Still watch some footy. Plenty of bestie stuff still happening. So, other than not having to edit the podcast, I still had a normal week. As per, besides getting to watch Carlton play, which is fine. But me and Dad watched a couple KO minis and some bites and some replays. So, all good.
Amazing. Well, we're going to talk about. I guess we'll spend a moment talking around the rest of the AFL, what we saw over the weekend, seeing as we didn't play. We'll talk about the Cats. Lots to get through. Tori, did you know we're brought to you by Cannoleria on the Blue Abroad Show?
I didn't. That's so exciting.
Do you know what a cannoli is?
Of course. Yes. I was here for Ari. Was it Ari that's never eaten a cannoli?
Yeah, it's like you're like the first person to know exactly what a cannoli is.
When we were in Adelaide for Gather Round, we were in Rundle Mall and they had like a cannoli truck. And Ari was with me when I bought one and I sat there and ate it in front of him and he still doesn't know what it is. It's shocking from him, actually.
Classic Ari, what can I say?
Classic Ari.
We love him though, don't we?
Of course. It's hard not to love Ari.
Well, yeah, it's like it's I know he's here.
I just saw it.
You know, I have to be careful to compliment Ari because he just takes it and he runs with it.
Yeah, I saw that. Seen that happen.
Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. No, it's good to have you here. We're gonna have a fun show. I can hear some feedback, I think, from your end before we continue. There's like a buzzing.
Yeah, it's my laptop about to explode. All good, guys. It won't. Let me just try and reduce some background noise, see if that helps.
Oh, yeah.
Like earlier, and this wasn't a problem. So now it wants to pain me.
Oh, that was perfect.
It's funny because the back of the mic doesn't usually take the sound. Is that better or is it there?
It's worse. Is there a way? Yeah, I think so.
God.
This is great.
Yeah, just stand by.
I mean, how could I not?
Just move some things.
We're just going to get you sorted while we, you know what? Why don't we talk to the people in the live chat while you sort yourself out, Tori? Guys in the chat, it's worse. Guys and girls in the chat, what was your takeaway from the weekend's games from the rest of the league? I'll get Tori to touch on this as well, but we're halfway through, or just a little bit over halfway. From what you saw on the weekend, which are the teams that you think are going to rise to become in the mix of contenders that we need to, have a focus on, and which are the teams that you don't believe in? I'm curious to see. Oh, we can talk about North. Oh, God. Tori, have we got you yet?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, mate. Perfect.
Yeah, I've been sitting here for a while. I just thought I was
Oh.
waiting for you to tell me it's still bad. All good.
No, that was great. I want to start with you from
Yeah.
what you consumed over the weekend.
Mm.
All right, let's break this down. Which team are you most impressed with from our competitors?
Well, it's hard to go past Sydney,
Right.
but I think they're just that far in front of everything, everywhere, at any time that I just don't even want to talk about it because it's like, what do you, how do you? They do the same thing every week. I feel like the game they played against Adelaide was very similar to how the Geelong game started the week before. Had the same run to the start of it, and then they just took off with it in the end. And beating Adelaide at home is never an easy job, so they're doing something right, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe in this theory about just get them to the G, and then
Yeah.
we'll sort of take it from there. But I mean, the form is the form right now. I'm not saying it's going to stay that way, but they are very impressive.
They are.
What about a team you think's on the rise?
The Hawks.
Oof.
They're an interesting one,
Mm-hmm.
but they're having a pretty good run at the moment. And of course, it's leading up to, well, we don't play them for a while, actually. We have a few more teams we play twice before we even get to them, which I don't know if it makes me more comfortable or not. But yeah, they've been pretty exciting to watch, I think, from what I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah, they've gone through. I feel like most teams go through it every year. You have that period of time where people are doubting you, sort of like rock bottom. I think they got through that. They were injured, to be fair. Do you reckon they can make the 8?
Where are they now? Are
They're
they
just outside.
equal ninth or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't looked at their fixture for the rest of the year. I think location may factor. I don't know how much they go away. I also don't know how the run looks, but I don't want to write anyone off other than someone like maybe Melbourne because I just can't watch a Melbourne game at the moment for my poor eyes. But it's literally there's a possibility Lions even make the 8 now. Like this season could turn any which way at any point. It scares me a lot.
The Lions are giving
We
me
know it
Carlton
better
vibes.
than anyone too.
Yeah, I'm getting Carlton vibes last year from the Lions.
Mm-hmm. I went to their game against the Gold Coast. No, against the Dogs last week before, with a friend who has never watched an AFL game in her life. It converted her into football, and yeah, they were pretty unstoppable for a bit there. Like, just almost got boring because there was just goal after goal from their end, and Hipwood playing good's an interesting sight and all that fun stuff. But yeah, they do remind me a bit of the Baggers from last year.
What about us? What have you made? We've seen mid-season reviews everywhere. You girls just recorded your podcast,
We just
right?
recorded. We were just reviewing Essendon, previewing Geelong. We didn't do so much of a mid-season review. We took the bye as a break,
Okay.
much needed. But me, Cam, and Jazz just talked about. We feel a lot more comfortable than 2022 at this point. More comfortable than last year at this point. It's just like a nice, easygoing feeling. I think our best football literally can match anybody, and we've seen it, especially in those fourth quarter runs that we've been doing lately. But I think we hold on to second spot. Love for Sydney to drop down, but I just don't see them doing it anytime soon.
It's such a new feeling, isn't it? Like it's been
Yeah.
12 months.
Yeah.
We've had a great 12-month period right now, and I'm kind of with you. I'm thinking, yeah, like I'm thinking top 4. I'm thinking let's get a home prelim. Let's make sure that we're there, but also try not to get too sucked into the future and live in the moment. But I
just think
help
Carlton
it.
of the now they don't seem to. They definitely learn from their mistakes. So I see it as we're going to play Geelong again. They're going to learn from the mistakes of that game and not letting it get away from them when it did, because it's too hard to go back. And they nearly did it. Same with the Collingwood game that we have coming up. Like those games where we lost, obviously we don't get to play Adelaide again, but I feel like Carlton have this like redemption arc that they just go for it and there's no shutting them down. I think our second half to this year may be very similar to the second half of last year without the pressure of needing to win every single game to make finals, which is scary because we haven't had that very long time.
Well, we're going to make a run. Like you just know. We're going to make a run
coming back after the bye. Oh, well, now too.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I don't know where you're going to put them, but it's a nice problem to have, I guess.
Absolutely. Who have been, there's probably a couple, who have been some of your most improved players or maybe surprise packets from what you've seen so far?
I have always been the confident person, as we know, that I see the best in every single player.
Hey,
all the
it's
time.
a bit of a redemption arc.
Yeah, just a bit. But in saying that, some of the just the rebirth of Zach Williams as a forward and seeing what he can do for the rest of the year. Even Sink, like we love Sink here at the Besties, and we love what Sink does. And I think he's finally found that spot in his role where he'll play his role wherever he is, but this role really suits him. And I think that like it's so nice to watch. It makes me all excited because I talk about like everyone doing well. I think Elijah Hollins is going to be an absolute superstar. He's already showing it. You just reiterate Brody Kemp, our whole backline, to be honest. Jordan Boyd, I still stand by best kick in the comp. That I could name every single person on that team. It's really bad.
A couple of certified besties there, Kemp and
There
Boyd.
is a couple of certified. I feel like we look out for them. Cowan also is a very good one. I think he's still at that point of getting the games in him, but the fact that he's had a run and gotten to experience the games that he has is like huge for what he's doing. And it's always been just give him a few games in a row and he'll show you what you can do. And I think he's been great too.
Yeah. Who are you most excited to see in the second half that we maybe haven't seen enough of in the first half?
I think Ollie Hollins is set for a big second half. I'd love to see Dirds come back and tear a new one to the game because I know he can. I think Charlie has the ability to go to the next step. Me and Dad had a chat the other day where Charlie kicks 2 goals and has a good game and we're like, oh yeah, well done, Charlie. Like you had a good game. But there'll be an opposition supporter that think he's the best thing. That was the best game he's played all year, blah, 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 blah. But we don't see it because we expect the best from Charlie always.
Yeah.
Whereas anyone else sees Charlie like that and it's, holy crappy, Charlie Curno's doing Charlie Curno things all the time. Whereas I think Charlie Curno has the ability to kick 5+ goals every single game. And we expect that because that's the player he is. So Charlie kick into a new gear, I think I'd love to see it. This one too. Always important.
Did you know Harry's matched his total goals from last year already?
Oh, stop it, Terry. I didn't know that. That's so exciting.
Yeah, 29. Yeah. Feels like a lifetime ago.
The 2 of them very high in the Coleman race just speaks wonders of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because they feel like they haven't been kicking a bag every week and they're still up with the best of the best, which they are the best of the best, but.
Absolutely. No, I think there's a better spread. Got a couple of guys that have kicked 10 goals halfway through the year. Always he's on like 17. We were talking about it last night with Pommy. We did like the mid-season ratings and we went from least amount of games played this year to most. We didn't even say Motlop's name because he hasn't played a game. So I look at that, I'm like, that's promising. Martin's played 1 game. Chera, I think it was 9 or 8. Not a lot. Marchie, conversations evolved with Marchie because the emergence of Kemp, Cowan, and these guys. Who's the other one? Who have I forgotten? Motlop, Martin, Marchie, Chera. I did say Chera. Those four. I don't know how much Marchie would feature at this point, but I think the other 3 definitely would.
It's just so hard to say, okay, 4 big names we know can do wonderful things. Where do you put them?
Mm-hmm.
Cotters is another one that's still out.
Cottrell. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow.
Well, we were watching the Geelong mini before in KO, and Cots kicked that goal in the goal square, and I just went, we don't have Cots in the team, but where do we put him? I can't. A great problem to have, but it sucks at the same time.
Yeah. What would you say has been your favorite moment or moments of the year so far? Like, there've been some pretty good wins, pretty good fan cams as well, I would say, or wandering, I should say. What would you say some of your highlights are so far?
Well, I haven't been to a lot of games. Like I have, but I haven't. I've only been to the 4, 5 Carlton games, maybe.
Solid.
That's a maybe. It's pretty good. I think I'm at 14 for the year overall, which
Mhm.
I hit 21 last year by the end of the prelim. So I think 14 is pretty good for an interstate bagger, footy fan. Favorite, I think I love my footy from home because you see everything and you see it when it's happening and all of that stuff. But weirdly, as bad of a game it was, Gather Round was strangely a great ending to a game. I hadn't been in a close win in that kind of vibe before. Like, I know we ended up winning by 10 points, but that kind of big things to happen near the end, other than round 1, which again I didn't think was the best game ever. I had to sit through the Collingwood game, and obviously the Essendon one is always a highlight every year, usually for me, other than last year. We don't talk about that. But I think getting to sit with mum and dad at the footy always is major highlight. But Harry's winning goal against Brisbane, I could name 6 or 7. I think the Port win is one of the best. It reminded me a lot of, if not better, of course, because it was such a contested game, but the Port game last year, and that's such a vivid memory. Ari would know, but if you didn't know, Carlton actually beat Port by 50 points in that game. And yeah, them coming and doing it at Adelaide Oval, I think breaking some hoodoos, that's my favourite part of the year. That's been the best part of the year, is just breaking all the things that we haven't been able to do in so long.
I still can't go past opening round. It just set that. I mean,
it's so good.
Like, Harry has his moment. It set the tone for moving on from narratives, I think, because the narrative around Harry and his goal kicking and all of that, was sort of building. Then you have an off season. You can't really defend yourself and play another game because it's the off season. And I remember thinking at the time, I hope this is the pressure release for him. I think it's safe to say it has been.
Yeah. I think that game is just, that was one of the replays we watched this past weekend, and just sitting there, it felt like a fever dream. Like, I'm watching it and I couldn't remember anything, but I could remember all of it at the same time. And I'm like, I feel like I passed out. I was like, Dad, where did we watch this? He goes, like, right here. Like, you were sitting there, we had like family over, and I just sat there and I was just watching it. It felt like I was watching it for the first time again. It was just such a weird feeling, and I feel like you don't get that a lot. Other than like the semi-final, you don't get that a lot. So I was just like, such a good game. Such a good game.
It was a good game. It certainly was. Okay. Let's move along. Let's talk about, some news that came through. Father-son rule changes. Have you seen the explosion about this?
I haven't seen a lot of it, but I've had a few chats with Dad about it, just because us as Carlton fans, we're expecting a few in the next few years, and it's of course come at a time where we finally get a few popping up, typically.
Always seems to be the way. Just the world's out to get us, you know?
Always.
So we don't really know exactly what, if the changes will be and what they will be. I think at the end of the day, we're still going to get the Camporelli boys.
Yeah. Is it
No matter
something
what.
with more points or something to be able to use the father-son or something like that? Or am I hearing things?
So right now we use a point system.
Mhm.
There are suggestions that that's not going to be the way to pay for them anymore. We're just going to need to pay in a different way. We're going to have to pay more than what we've already banked.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll actually bring it in at the end of this year. It would be stiff for us if they did. It's gonna happen at some point. But I think the moral of the story is we're still getting the twins.
Yeah.
Like it's not a complete disaster. But I think whenever we get news like that with change, I think that always happens. There's always a bit of an outrage at the start. But yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I'm not so concerned about it. Also, the Camporelli boys are good, but it's not like we're talking about a top 5 pick here. We're talking about just solid footballers right now. They're still very young.
Yeah.
So that happened this week. Now I want to play a little game.
Yep.
Are you ready for this?
No, I'm so nervous.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay, so we're going to talk a bit about the last time we played Geelong. We're going to move straight into Geelong.
Yep.
Okay. And well, firstly, what do you remember about Geelong and the last time we played them? You and those of you at home. What do you remember?
I remember Blake Acres doing Blake Acres things in the last 5 minutes. That game. We kicked 3 goals. 3 goals in a minute and a half in the last 5. I don't remember a lot. I'm pretty sure our tall forwards had a pretty big game.
Mm-hmm.
But again, one of those games. I try and block losses out of my brain always.
Totally agree.
It's done. Get out. I'm done with you.
I remember. Oh, Wiedering's miss. True, I forgot about this. I remember Jordan Boyd's goal very clearly. I remember the last 5 minutes, and I remember Cripps kicking his goal and rallying the boys and telling them it's not over yet. Aaron, indeed, Jordan Boyd did kick his first goal in the game. He certainly did. Nice little sidestep. But I'm with you. I don't really remember the second and third quarter as much. I'll watch the replay. But I wanted to ask you some questions and just quiz you on some things from the last time we played them.
Sure. This is going to be so bad.
No, it's not going to be bad. Ask Ari. He's great at it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, Tori,
Mm.
who led... Oh, let's start with an easy one. And chat as well. Who led the team in disposals on the day?
I don't even remember 6 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, it was round 7.
Was that no, Sam Walsh? Sam Walsh? I could be wrong here.
Mate,
it is right?
Absolutely.
You know why? Because he came back to the Adelaide game and he was very good that game, but his next game was better. Just remember.
Sam Walsh, indeed. Who? Oof. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Who led the team in goals?
Oh, I don't remember which one it was. I don't remember. This is terrible. Huh?
You get unlimited guesses, you know.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll start with Harry.
Nah.
Is it Charlie?
It was Charlie.
Yeah,
it was Charlie.
I knew it was one of them because Harry got quite the amount of besties and fairest votes early in the year. I just couldn't remember if that was one of them, but fair.
Yeah.
Charlie.
And my final question to you.
Mm.
Who led the team? This will be a bit tricky, I think. Who led the team in tackles? Everyone can play along here. And don't check at home.
In tackles.
Tackles.
I can't even remember who played.
Oh, wow.
Oh. I'm trying to think. I feel like I know this too.
You for sure know this. As in, you know this player.
I know all the players, Terry. That's just
you know
silly.
all the players, but like, it's not like a random name.
Oh. Kennedy's a great shout. I'm going to go Kennedy for my first guess. Yes! You know why? I remember he had a really good game, and that just seemed the right answer.
Yeah.
I should go on a game show. That was better than I thought.
Yeah. 9 tackles.
Wow.
He was excellent. Yeah. So we had 87,000 people at the game last time. It was a Saturday twilight, 4:35. This time it's different. It's Friday night. What do you feel about the Cats? Let's discuss. Let's open up the chat about the Cats.
Jeremy Cameron scares the life out of me.
Yeah.
I'll start it with that. Because he just seems to always kick a number on us every single time. Who do you put on him? Who would you put on him?
I think it's got to be a McGovern. I know last time we played, we had Lewis Young playing from memory. I think. Is that right? Yeah, he did. He did play. I think McGovern was injured. And I think we were also missing Adam Sard. We were.
Yeah, he went out in the Adelaide game.
That's right. Yeah. So I think it's tough. I think I kind of understand why how teams feel when they come up against Charlie Curnow, because I feel the same about Jeremy Cameron, and he hasn't even really been at his best.
I just think he's always everywhere.
Yep.
Always like he'll be the back line 1 minute and then kicking 3 goals the next. So you can't trust him.
No, you can't. So, yeah, I think the conversation starts with Jeremy Cameron. You know what I remember about last time? Now that it's coming back to me, I remember Geelong were clinical. I remember kind of similar to the Essendon game we just played. I remember that we had a lot of the ball, played well, didn't capitalize, and then every time Geelong would get us on the turnover, they would be a lot more efficient. Similar to what we did to Essendon.
Mitch didn't actually play either.
No, he didn't.
And I think with the only game we've lost with Sard this year was the Adelaide game, and it's the one he went off injured. So there's a few names that came back into the side that I think has changed our team dramatically in some of that defensive, like brick wall back six. We kicked terribly that day.
We did.
Really bad in the first half. Really bad.
It was. Yeah. 6 goals, 9, 10-4. We ended up on, 15-15 to 18-10. Oh, the Cats. Yeah, they were pretty clinical. They were pretty good. But they were at the peak of their powers. They were undefeated at the time.
Yeah.
Do you remember Vossi after the game?
No.
Vossi said, I thought this was quite fascinating. He said that loss was unacceptable in the presser. It was like the first time that he started.
I do remember that. Yeah. It was a bit of a talking point. I remember.
Yeah. So I found that interesting. They were obviously really, really frustrated. But yeah, I'm with you with what you said earlier. That because of the teams that we play for the second time. I mean, we lost against Geelong, so there's that immediate, rectification. Are you confident?
Yeah, I actually am. Plain and simple. I actually am. I think I'm not going to be there.
Okay.
Sadly. No, I think it's our football today or these past 3 weeks even. I think the Sydney game was a wake-up call, if you wish.
Yeah, absolutely.
And since our team has stayed consistent, there hasn't been changes, maybe 1 in, 1 out maximum every week. It's just a very united front, and I don't see much breaking through that coming into the next couple of games we play, at least.
Yeah. Fair. What about changes? Would you bring any of those boys in if they're available?
I think Ches is the only one I would... Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard to even say it. Like, stiff for Jack Carroll, but I think Ches would come in for Jack. If that, I'd happily leave Jack as the sub, but also Cots can play a pretty good sub role. So I think it's just dependent on that. I think, like I said before, we're in a really good position where it's a great problem to have. And it's kind of like, do you send them to the twos and let them show something before they come back like they have with Mott's and hasn't done a lot?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it closely, but to my knowledge, let them kind of get that confidence and that game time back in them before bringing them to some of the big games we have on this run again.
Yeah. Do you have like not a hatred? Hatred's a strong word. How do you feel about Geelong as a club? Like, is there a rivalry? I mean, Collingwood and Essendon, it's always there, but what's the vibe against Geelong?
Not really. I think it's a weird, I don't know if it's a non-living in, I don't live in Melbourne thing and that side of it as well. But they were just that team that was always just good. Always good. And now that we've kind of, I think, winning against them last year, early in the year, and even the game we played them, I think, considering they were premiers a couple of years ago, they don't scare me. But I don't hate them as a club, but I don't sit here and like they're not up there with Collingwood and Essendon at all for me. They're kind of just the whatever.
Yeah. It's like they're nice. I find when I go to the footy, like if we play against the D supporters, there's not as much animosity. Maybe that'll change over the next couple of years because, we're playing serious games now. The Cats, I tell you what I felt after the game, after the Cats, just from online, just from conversations I had with friends who were supporters, I felt this, like it meant something to them that they'd beaten us. And I haven't had that happen from Geelong before. And I don't know if that's because they hate Carlton or because they really don't want to lose their spot in this pecking order that they've had against us.
It's a tough one. They're a weird team. I find there's like those few clubs where it's just like I have no idea where you rank on my list of hated and not hated. But I think the better we get, the more clubs start to hate us. And I start to hate everyone a little less, except for Collingwood and Essendon and Melbourne for that matter. I don't like Melbourne at the moment.
It's pretty funny watching how triggered everyone gets now that Carlton's good. It's great.
Yeah, really bad. Well, not bad for us, bad for them. It's been embarrassing.
It used to be like we used to get the pity, and then now that we've started winning more than what we lose, now it's umpires are on your side, Charlie's a free kick merchant, blah blah blah. I find that so fascinating. It can never be, okay, you guys are good.
Yeah, because we're a big club, so they have to. Just what they got to do. Same
Absolutely.
with everyone else.
So what's the plan? What do you do on Friday? What's the setup going to be like?
My game day?
Yeah.
I think I'm working until 3:00, so go to work as normal. The gym.
Yeah.
And then I don't have a car at the moment. Do you want a story time? Have I told you about my car?
Please tell us.
So it absolutely poured here in Wollongong. When I say poured, I mean it was like swimming in a river, just walking down the street. It was the day I was meant to come to Melbourne on the Friday.
Yeah.
Friday the 7th, before the Essendon game.
Yeah.
And I worked a double day. So I worked in Sydney, which is about a 50-minute drive away, drove home, parked underneath because I didn't want to get underneath the car park because I didn't want to get wet walking into work. And I had to curl my hair at work, and it was just a whole thing. Finishing at 10 and then having to leave the house to catch a train at 5 a.m. It starts pouring. Rain's terrible. My friend goes downstairs to check because the car park's a little bit known to flood if it's really bad rain. But I didn't realise the extent of the rain. And she goes, no, all good. She left at 8 o'clock and her car was fine. She drove out. Nothing was flooding. All good. Between 8 and 10 p.m, we had probably the most rain I've ever seen in my life. But I didn't realise because I was inside a gym and we only have one set of windows and I couldn't tell from the front desk. Yeah. And we go to leave at 10 p.m, and the entire downstairs car park is probably shin deep in water all the way through. And of course, I was on the deeper end. So we had to leave my car to drown. Dad came and picked us up in the ute. We couldn't get home. All the roads, because Wollongong is a very hilly area, were flooded. there was maybe if you were in the far right lane, you managed to get across. Luckily, we were in Dad's car. I don't think I would have been able to drive home anyway. It would have just had to move my car and pick it up the next day. The rain was horrible. Mum and Dad, I obviously still got on my flight. Dad had to drive us halfway to the airport because the trains had stopped working. Mum and Dad went to pick up my car or look at it the next day. Water had, well, all the foot where you put your feet in the car were all this deep of water inside. The seats were wet. So car still was running if you'd like it to. And yeah, car died. It got towed. I haven't seen it. It's been closed up for 2 weeks. We're waiting on an assessing from the insurance. But the water would have been mid-door, sitting there overnight.
Oh my god! Wait, so it didn't swim away the car? In my head, I pictured the car swimming away.
Thank goodness it didn't swim away. But there was, I don't want to even know what was in that water. Because there's a lake across the road from saltwater lake goes into the ocean, so the car's probably stuffed. But we don't know. So I don't have a car, which means Mum and Dad will drive me to work. They'll pick me up from work. Great parents, if I think they're watching. Thank you, Mum and Dad.
Mr. Saros is in the chat.
Typically. And yeah, we'll come home. I don't think Dad's here. Dad, if you're watching, can you answer if you're here on Friday? I don't think Dad's here, and when Dad's not here, it's a bit weird. Well, there he is. Claiming all my knowledge, like always.
Hey, you've got to give Pops credit.
Always. But yeah, if he's not here, me and Mum will sit, we'll eat dinner, and then we watch the footy, and then Jazz usually calls me after the game.
Amazing.
Oh, he is home Friday. Even better.
Yeah. Well, I've been to the footy with you. I was there. We were there SCG last year with the Saroses. Are you a different supporter at the footy than what you are at home?
Quite the same. Maybe louder. Bit of both.
Okay. Great.
I somehow managed the Melbourne game. Mum and Dad were both in Melbourne, and I had the dog sleeping on my lap. And somehow, through all the screaming, she stayed asleep. But I screamed, and I think Charlie kicked a goal, and I went to move, and I forgot she was there, and it was a bit of a problem. But no, it's still just as loud. No one can hear me at home, but just as loud.
Yeah. Do you want to know a story about what I did to my car one time?
Oh my God, I can't wait. Tell me.
So the year was, it doesn't matter what year it was. I played it was about 10 years ago, though. That probably is important. I played a basketball tournament at, do you know MSAC, Melbourne Sports and Aquatic Centre?
Yeah.
So played a basketball tournament there over a long weekend, torrential rain. I parked my car. My car had a sunroof, and I was driving. Well, it was actually sunny on the way there, I think. What used to happen with the car was when you would lock the car, it would automatically close the sunroof. Not this time. So got in, played the whole day's worth of games. I think we had 3 games in the day. Didn't even think it was about the rain. Didn't even think about my car. Then I knew it was raining, but I wasn't thinking about the sunroof. Get to the car. I can't even tell you. The cup holders in the middle, or some cars have them.
Yeah.
Full, overflowing. It was a scene. I remember driving home. I had 2 mates with me. I had towels to give to them, but it was so wet, and I had to drive home with a completely drenched car. So you brought me back to that.
Oh yeah, no, it's not good. That's not good.
Yeah.
Mine it's gotten in the car from just sitting in water. Car was closed. I don't have a sunroof. It's just gotten in there. I can't believe it's still turned on because it's one of those push start cars too. I was a bit worried about that, but it turned on. Dad was able to move it outside, but parents are champions for what they had to deal with that day. I think they tried to pretty much turn on the car, and the exhaust was just spitting out water. There's no tomorrow, and there's wires under the chairs. It's not going to be great.
Oh wow. Yeah. No, you just brought me back. That was very good.
It's okay though. I had a Cripper and a Walshy air freshener, and that was recovered. So, oh my God, sorry. All is well.
Nice.
The air
Very
covers.
good.
But my 2024 member sticker dies with the car.
Wow.
Sad.
You have a sticker on the back of your car every year? You do it?
Not every year. I think this is the first year it's lasted so far. Last year I had one on for a bit, but it fell off or it didn't stick very well wherever I put it. But this year, it's a year I've had it on all year. But so we should be fine because it's not a continuous thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Carl's no water story. I only drove through a garage and smashed my car. So.
I've also
Nice.
done the garage drive-through. Whoops.
Oh, no way.
Oh, story time again. Different car.
Go on.
I used to work at Macca's and it was my first ever 6 a.m. shift. And I was fresh on my P's, went to reverse. It didn't have very good grip. So like when I would the handbrake, it would slide a little bit before I pressed accelerator, and because I was so tired. And to this day, it very much could have been in drive. I don't remember. I just went straight in the garage. It dented the garage. Poor dad. Had to get it fixed that day. Mum and dad are great.
Parents are great. You know what's funny as well? You call them. I don't know about you. I know I did when I would call my parents and like tell them something had happened. I look back now, like I would lie to make it sound better. Your parents know.
Well, no, I hit it and it woke mum and dad up because we have like one of those collarbone kind of tin, whatever they call kind of things, and it dented the whole thing. So dad's come running out like, oh, what has happened? And then they had to drive me to work. So then they had to get out of bed and it was the whole day.
Hilarious.
Had great car times.
Looks like we're all in a similar boat. We've all had moments. Mixed up brake and accelerator with high heels on, was going clubbing. Love that.
God. I think I saw Ari say that he ran a red light the other day.
Ari ran a red light the other day. Well,
yeah.
That will be spoken about this week on Reflections.
He actually told me last night that it's the second one because Brando questioned him on if it was the same one he told him about the other day. But this is a new one, so twice now.
Wow.
I thought you'd learn after the first one, but anyways.
I'm trying to picture Ari driving.
He drives a little white Audi.
Oh, Audi? Class.
Yeah.
Class.
Yeah. It's very funny. I choose not to go in the car with Ari if I get the chance.
Ari,
running red lights is a great example of why.
I just know Ari's smiling right now. I just know he's smiling right now. Okay. Look, back to the footy. Hey, it's an important round this week.
It is.
It's an important cause. It is the Carlton Respects round. And I wanted to ask, what do you reflect on from what you've seen from your lens from when we started Carlton Respects to now? Like how much impact does it have for you?
I think in the early days, well, is it eighth year?
I think it's our 8th or 9th, yeah.
And I think I was quite still young back then. How old am I now? Ooh, 23. Almost. Yeah, I would have been 16, 17. Is that right maths?
Yeah.
Is that terrible maths? That's
That's
right.
about right. Yeah, we'll go with that.
About that. So I don't remember a lot, and I think didn't really register a lot about it back then. Obviously, as time goes on and you grow and you learn and you get more, I think the bigger social media gets, the more it grows, the more they can kind of promote it and get the message out there. A lot in society hasn't changed, which is terrible. If anything, I see it a lot more now than I probably did back then or throughout the years prior, but it just makes it that much more important when it comes around that the awareness is being brought to it. I think the big one is also social media being a problem and people being able to say whatever they want. And it's obviously for gender equality in violence against women, but violence against women isn't just physical violence. It's verbal abuse, so on, online abuse, all of that still includes in the violence umbrella. And it's yeah, something I've learnt a lot about in the past few years, and unfortunately something we've had to experience a bit recently, which sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, make it known and make people aware of it's what we can do.
I remember the first time we did it. I remember loving it from the first moment we did it. I think the more into the future we've now gotten from it, the louder and the more impact it has every time we come up with the game. And I think that'll only grow. But I remember the first time. Do you remember the first time we met? First time the
Me and
besties
you?
was like, yeah.
In person or online?
Well, okay, yeah, online. The very first time.
Yeah, maybe.
What do you remember? You
Do
came
you
on a
mean like
stream.
the first time we talked like face to face on a call or something?
No.
Or do you mean
So
like first interaction online?
yes,
I don't remember the very first. It was a bit of a blur back then for me,
it was via Jazz.
typically.
So I remember I wasn't on Twitter a lot, but I remember Jazz and Co. We'll call you the besties before the besties was official.
Yep.
But it was like you were already there. And I remember just watching it and reading it and seeing the reaction that the girls would get on Twitter. For me, it's not a massive deal in the sense of it's everyone's game. It's like it almost felt like there was this territory battle about who can and who can't talk about footy. I always found that fascinating. It's like, oh, if you're going to talk about footy on a podcast, it has to be analytical, or it has to be this, or it has to be that. Whereas I remember when you started coming on streams, it was like, oh wow, I get a bit of a break from trying to be so serious all the time and just kind of enjoying it. And you've brought that light. What do you reflect on with content creation from where it was before you started and sort of where you are now?
I think it's a funny question because everything has happened so quickly.
Yeah.
I honestly, although I said it's a bit of a blur from how we actually met, but I called you for a uni assignment and I interviewed for that. And then that same night was the night of the Cripps Tribunal that essentially created the idea for the besties and what we've grown from there. But obviously I did a uni degree that was all about media, and I've moved into a lot of sports media since, and obviously the besties being what it is. But being on Twitter, when I got on Twitter, I wasn't on an AFL side of Twitter at all. It was strictly uni that I met Jazz, and that all changed. And I think at the start, I was very cautious of what I was saying, of what I was posting, of posting any opinions. How would it be reflected upon? How would people take it? How does it go? And it obviously, Jazz is a big person of just post what you're feeling, get it out there. And if people don't like it, they don't like it. Which has obviously helped me grow, but aging as well. You grow as a person, and the way you think and adapt to things change. And I think we went, that's very sweet. I think the way that the besties was formed off being a couple of girls who we went through a bit of crap on Twitter the end of 2022, a lot of crap on Twitter at 22. There's a point that I barely click on the app these days anyway. We don't use it for the besties as much, only when we have to. We used to share every single wandering. We don't need to share it on Twitter anymore because it is just a negative space for what we do. And it's not fair, but we just find we don't need to do it. So we don't. When I remember, I do, but that's about it. But when we started the besties, and pretty much our plan was to do the podcast and stick on Twitter. That was all we wanted to do. Jazz didn't really want to go on TikTok or Instagram. She was happy just growing the way we were. And then it got to the point where obviously there was that audience to grow it so much more. And when we put it on TikTok with the wanderings and grow past just what the podcast is. But having, in the very early days, we got a lot of negative girls are trying to talk about footy. Who let them have a platform? What are they talking about? Why isn't it this, that, the other? They don't know what they're on about. To comments like the one we just saw, where it's changing a lot of younger females' way that they look at footy and recognise what we do in that regard. So we have had a pretty good run as the besties, I'd like to say. With that side of things, of course, until very recently and then very early days. But it's just that thing that we don't let it get to us. We don't read it as something that's affecting us as people, because at the end of the day, we know what we're doing is good, and we know that it makes us happy and we like doing it and we're pretty good at it and all that fun stuff, that it doesn't matter what an anonymous person behind a screen with a fake name or a fake email address can say. Words do hurt, but they don't define us. And I think, yeah, it's it's a big eye opener to, I think it just makes everyone a bit more aware of it. And we've never really had a lot of females in AFL content creation until kind of what we're doing, and they're starting to pop up, which is really exciting to see. If it's through us, Besties Footy, with the girls that we know that wanted to get involved, the constant girls that still want to get involved with what we're doing, and just kind of having that space to kind of prove people wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for me, it was so clear at the start, because I don't know, I would sense a frustration, because there would be a bit of drama, or there'd be this or there'd be that. It's like, what if all that energy was focused into something? And remember, we had that chat, we had dinner.
We had dinner.
I just think it's important to take a moment to acknowledge what you've done, and appreciate what you've done. I think I look forward to a day when it's normal, rather than it being this, surprise thing. The girls can talk about footy as well. Right now, we're in that era where it's still new. What are we, just over 12 months on, 18 months ish? We're in the early phases of it, but I don't know if you realize exactly what you're doing, but it's very impactful. As in, I don't think you realize the gravity of what you're doing. I think you know what you're doing. I think you're very capable. But I don't know if you girls realize exactly what you're doing and what it's going to mean after you.
I agree to so many levels, and it's not until I go to Melbourne and I see it firsthand of people coming up to us and talking to us, and the people who come up and say, we've been listening to the podcast every single episode, compared to the ones like, oh, I know you from TikTok. It's because we don't talk a lot about football itself on TikTok. It's very TikTok based with our wanderings and our trends and things like that. But the podcast ones are big, and taking my friend who, she's from overseas, she doesn't know much, if anything, about football. She doesn't understand quite what I do or what I was doing until I took her to the Lions game. I sat there in my Carlton scarf and had a male fan of the Lions come up and say, are you wondering, besties? I love what you guys do, and I just wanted to say that you're amazing, and walked away. And my friend just sat there like, what are you doing? Can you explain it to me? And I think it's crazy that it is gotten to that point where people know your face walking down the street or something like that, but it's not for a couple videos went viral. It's because, hey, you're making an impact in females in sport, and that's sick. It's really sick.
Yeah. J-Bag is, with the comment earlier, I think it's those little things there that I read. My daughter now comes to the footy because she's got the besties, things like that. So, no, look, it's been a pretty solid first year, nearly second. We 1.5 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I just think this is where, I mean, for the game to grow, content's a big part of that, in my view.
Yeah.
The dynamic of how the game's going to grow. How do we get more eyeballs on the game? Well, this new creator economy has happened. It's here, and Carlton has a pretty big one, if not the biggest, version of it amongst all the clubs. I think there's more. I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. There's more Carlton content creators than anyone else. And so I think what you're doing is you're helping really open the door and sort of allowing in a whole subsection of the society that didn't really have a place to consume and get around it. So well done.
Thank you. It's crazy because I went from, obviously I lived in Melbourne a lot of my younger years up until we moved in 2015. So
yeah,
Carlton weren't very good after we left at all. I kind of fell out of love with footy, and I stopped watching. And I wasn't watching to the extent as I make sure I'm not working now to be here, or I would not go to a party now if the footy's on. Like, sorry, I'll be late. I've got a game to watch, or can't do this. Footy's on, whatever it is, and it's. I think the me and Jazz story of meeting online in a space that was so male dominated, and we've kind of just grabbed all our friends that we've all met online and dragged them along with us and made what we have. I cried the other day about it because it's just such a big thing, and I get very overwhelmed because it is a lot of work, and I think people don't see the work as much as what we do or what I have to. And it's not, I've had a few job interviews and things, like I've just finished uni and all that. And it's not until they kind of have said something like, how do you have time for life with all of this? And I go, I just make the time. Like it's a part of me now and what we do. And if it helps one girl love footy a little bit more, if it makes 50 girls love footy a bit more, then we're doing it right. And yeah.
So good. So good. Wow. We're going to watch. Well, I think we're all watching each other kind of grow up as well. That's the other part as well. I think what you're doing is great. I think the generations after you will certainly have you to thank for what you've done. So, no, it's been awesome, and long may it continue, mate.
Hope so.
Yeah. That was lovely. What else is on your mind? I'm so ready for Friday night. I'm so ready for footy again.
I just need footy. I need footy. I didn't watch a lot of the games over the weekend because I've worked a lot the past few days, and just terrible times, and without not as many games on, you don't get enough footy to be able to, if you miss one, you got another. I listened to a lot of the North game on the radio, and that was nice. I missed the ending though. No complaints there. But I need my Carlton fix back. I need some Carlton content. I need Carlton, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I had a really weird weekend. It was almost like a rehashing of the emotions from last year, even though we're in a good spot right now. Just the bye happens every year since doing this. I just get to the bye and I fall flat a little bit, and then I sort of get picked up by the upcoming game. I spoke to Pommy as well. That always helps. But I'm so ready. I'm ready to be dragged back into the furnace and then just go into the run. Mate, it's going to be scenes.
It's a very scary thing to sit back and just look at the rest of the year and be like, just like looking where we got to last year. I don't think anyone sat there right now this time last year and said, we're going to make a prelim. I might have joked about winning every single game, but I don't think winning a prelim was anywhere in what we were talking about at the time. So to sit here and go, we could actually make a grand final finally from here is insanity.
Yeah, absolutely. What's coming up for the besties? What do we need to look out for this week? Podcast has been recorded.
So 5 p.m. Wednesday will be podcast as per normal. That'll go up Wednesday, 5 p.m. We are heading to an event tomorrow with some of our favourite besties. So Cripper, Charlie and Walshy, the Authentic Autographs and Events event, we will be there if anyone's going. We're doing some besties wandering stuff, some content with the boys, and just getting to see the show because I've heard good things. I'm literally going to be in Melbourne tomorrow for 30 hours, and then I'm back to Wollongong. See you on Wednesday, Terry.
See me on Wednesday, absolutely.
And then just your normal weekly baggers stuff. We have a respects post will pop out on probably Wednesday night or Thursday, and then just your regular pre-game wandering gate 3, post-game wandering gate 3, usually a couple hours before the game. I won't be there, but the girls will be. And then Ari stat, if anyone wants to be Ari's friend for the the stat. This have I crashed?
Are you dying?
No. Am I still here?
You're alive. You're just cutting out a little bit. But I think we got that. We got the gist of it. You got an event tomorrow. Ari's stat is coming out.
My
Question. Yeah, go.
Yeah, I'm dying.
You're dying. Oh, hang on. Are you in a different? Hang on a minute.
You swap me over.
Hey, mate. Oh, that was brilliant.
I had it ready. I was
On
prepared.
the fly.
Why can I still hear you? Oh, there we go.
Because I'm opening another tab.
Yeah, it's okay. I moved it. You're on my phone now.
Oh.
We're fine. Yeah, normal bestie stuff. As per Gate 3, Ari needs a friend for the stat. If anyone would like to be Ari's friend after the game.
Ari's got friends. He's got lots of friends.
He seems to keep doing the stat alone. I had to go all the way from Wollongong to help him last week.
Oh, lucky he's got you, eh?
I know. What would he do without me?
I don't know what he would do. I don't know. Amazing. Well, Tori, hey, thanks so much for coming on the show tonight. Really appreciate it. Really, and I say this to you whether we're on the camera or we're not, but it's really, it just gives pride. Really proud to see what's happened with the work you've done. You're entering a new chapter in your life now, so good luck with that. And you've always got friends and allies, and it feels weird that I have to say that, but like the world is the world, but just know that you have a lot of support, more support than not, more support than you know.
Oh, I know. It's good. We've got a good support. The besties, BA, Carlton community, it goes wide, very wide.
Yeah, absolutely. See you Wednesday.
I will see you Wednesday.
All right. Bye, everyone. Go Blues.
Go Blues.